Here it has been, right? 4 months ago, when I presented to you, I gave you several symptoms that make working at the City of Seattle less than ideal. And it's gotten to be, in some ways, more ideal since then and less ideal since then. But I've had found, and I described to you, that the poor communication structure was the common denominator to that problem. Whether it's an order that inadvertently got lost between the cracks, or a fantastic idea that got intentionally smothered before getting to the ear of a decision maker, or a manager who violated fair labor rules and wasn't held to account. All of these result in frustration and inefficiency, lawsuits, disengagement of the workforce, and in the end, not using the city's most valuable resource, its people, to the best capability. I described at that time a vision of a solution that my esteemed colleague who's here tonight, Timothy Lowry, and I co-authored, called Stop the Pain and Thrive. At the core of it, it's a plan to have management and labor and stakeholder groups come together to build a communication system of tools and practices so that we're never out of the loop. The important information and ideas and feedback go where they need to, and we operate better as a functioning organism. I see the, for some reason we're not advancing. There we go. I see the any organization as a body, and here's a fine body right now, with a nervous system being the communication pathway. The nervous system feeds all of these little nerve endings everywhere on our body to the central processing unit in the head, which then directs all the muscles to do what we need to do. This is a good functioning system. And I liken the city to say, oh, I have an injury or I have some sort of a signal. Well, let's wrap it up and start the healing. But then it would enter into, to visualize the problem that I spoke of, it would enter into a problem situation where they wouldn't, for a lot of the nerve endings, which is all of the people and their ideas, they wouldn't pull back the bandage and see how it's going, how the healing process is going. So it could end up, in the one hand, a good healing scar, or on the other hand, something very terrible. And I want to move to the next slide. That's what gangrene looks like. Let's move on. So we're going to go into details. Actually, I'm going to go back all the way because I didn't include a blank slide there, and I don't want to stay on that icky one. Well, tonight I'm going to go into how did we do in our efforts. We had a goal that was laid out and developed with my planning committee, my guidance committee, to, by the end of now, have agreement from the city of Seattle to collaboratively work together and start building this structure. Okay, tonight I'm going to give you the results, and I already let the cat out of the bag, so let's flip forward to that slide. Did we succeed in our very clearly laid out goal? Well, no, we didn't. The city didn't agree to collaborate. They didn't not agree. They just didn't respond yet. And it's pretty understandable. I've listed the several reasons that have contributed to it. The SDHR is Seattle Department of Human Resources. The director with whom we've been working has been overwhelmed, and this is before COVID-19, by initiatives from other groups, directives from on high, and then being kind of bound up in red tape at every turn. So he's kind of overwhelmed. And then COVID-19 dropped. That has been not a vacuum for people's energy and effort and time, more like a black hole that just sucks everything and light also into it. So that really affected our ability to make any headway. Then the West Seattle Bridge failed, didn't drop, but it failed. And that's affecting everything in terms of trying to figure out plans and budgets as well. Then we have social unrest and protests over excessive police violence. And I got assigned to a new division in a task force that is very full of new responsibilities. So, despite not meeting our one distinctive goal, there were tons of successes for us. Here's a list of them. We did send a follow-up letter to the Department of HR, urging them to respond. We developed our vision, mission, values, goals, strategy, action plan. We developed our stakeholder engagement plan, our media communication strategy that applies pressure on the city. We refined our alignment with other stakeholders groups, and we found that they're intact and they're making progress. We're working on a consistent body of knowledge and resources, and we're proposing a continuous improvement project very much in line with what our work is with Stop the Pain and Thrive. Some lessons learned. Some of the things that I learned and would do the same is I would pick a good team and hold regular advisory meetings. These meetings give us a chance to check our progress and make course corrections. Yes, do build a vision, a mission, values, goals, strategy, and action plan. Write them down. I didn't think it was as important as it is. It gives us incontrovertible things that we can go back to and see if we're on course still or on schedule. And then build a flexible plan. That way, you don't, when things change, when COVID hits, you can adapt. What would I do differently? I would review the meeting action items with deadlines, even with big wigs like the director of the city's HR department. That was something that we notably lacked. I would engage directly with the other people who have leverage, and I would engage the media more fully. As far as my own personal leadership growth goes, some of my lessons are my bearing matters. I'm not an egotistical person and I'm self-effacing. I do realize now that if I have confidence in what I'm doing, I need to show it because that inspires my team to have confidence as well. I am not alone. In that regard, I mean, I am a classical engineer. I take my task, I go into my cave, I work at the problem, I bring it out. That's no good if the task or set of tasks are simply too much for the time that I have, and I get a chance to practice delegation and support, encouraging, coaching, and follow through. The last one is try to celebrate, and I mean try intentionally. That means to put an effort into celebration and to appreciation of my people. And in that direction, I want to give great appreciation to my advisory committee, one by one. Karen, you brought wisdom, adaptability, and nourishment to our meetings and to me as a leader. You're very subtle and effective. I appreciate you. Brig, I saw in you reasonability, patience, and also frankness when we needed frankness. Thank you for bringing that to this effort and to this team. Timothy, you were on the guidance committee and the action committee. I found you to be some fun words. Indefatigable, that means tireless. Fecund, that means fruitful. You're always coming up with ideas. I have to admit, I can't keep up with you, my man. And you are human at the core of it all. And you have remained that way. Thank you. And Stephen, the other member of the action committee, I have found you to be constructive. And by that, I mean you're able to create documents, create the initial text, and we come in and edit, but you construct it and you do very well at it. You're effective and you're very value aware. You're aware, what really impressed me is that you're aware of your own value, and you don't let people step on that. I'm taking that to heart. So thank you, Stephen, and thank you all in my advisory and action committees. Let me wrap up by saying, though we didn't meet the goal that we stated, we are making such progress. We are going to keep up the effort. I've learned a whole lot, and I'm going to leave you with a charge. When you see a situation where someone's voice is not being heard, and it could be under the knee of a police officer. It could be police officers whose leadership and their representation in their union does not represent their demographic or their opinions. Or it could be at a city job or any other job. When you see people's voices not being heard in this great country of ours, listen. Take time to understand what is it, the angle that they're coming from, and try to learn something from that. Actions will come on your own judgment. Madam Toastmaster.